Ever get that feeling, that nagging voice in your head telling you you're not quite good enough, even when you've done something great? Well, if you have, you are definitely not alone. Today, we're going to dive deep into what self-esteem really is, and more importantly, we're going to explore some simple, powerful habits that can help you build that rock-solid confidence, one day at a time. So let's kick things off with a number that might just blow your mind.
Take a look at this. 70%. That's a huge number, right? A massive majority of people. But what on earth could it represent? Well, that's the percentage of people who, at some point in their lives, feel that nagging sense of imposter syndrome. You know the one, that deep down persistent fear that you're a total fraud and that any success you've had is just a fluke. Does that sound even a little bit familiar? This feeling is directly plugged into our topic today, self-esteem. So let's get on the same page. What is self-esteem, really? Well, at its core, it's your own personal, subjective feeling about your worth. But it goes way deeper than just liking yourself. It's about genuinely valuing your thoughts, your feelings, your goals, and believing, truly believing, that you deserve love and respect. And, self-esteem isn't just this one big, vague feeling. It's actually made up of a bunch of key ingredients all working together. You've got self-confidence in what you can do, a feeling of security in who you are, a clear sense of your own identity, feeling like you belong, and, that feeling of competence, that you can handle what life throws at you. Building your self-esteem really means working on all these different pieces. But what happens when those pieces are a little weak or missing? Well, that's when we can get trapped. We fall into what's called the low self-esteem loop. And man, it can feel like a vicious cycle that is just impossible to break out of. Take a look at these. Do any of them hit a little too close to home? That constant negative voice in your head? An intense fear of failure that keeps you from even trying? Or how about finding it almost painful to accept a compliment? Maybe you're always comparing yourself to others, or you have a really hard time setting boundaries because you're stuck in a people-pleasing pattern. Yep, these are all classic signs that low self-esteem might be running the show. So that begs the question, right? Why does it feel like such an impossible trap to get out of? What's the actual mechanism that keeps us spinning around in this loop? In this right here, this explains everything. This is the cognitive model of low self-esteem. It shows how our early life experiences can create these deep-seated negative core beliefs about ourselves. Things like I'm stupid or I'm unlovable. And once those beliefs are set, they trigger this self-perpetuating cycle. We make negative predictions, which causes anxiety, which leads us to behave in ways that, guess what, end up confirming those original bad beliefs. It is a powerful self-fulfilling prophecy in action. So how do we break this thing? The good news is we absolutely can. And the first, most crucial step starts from the inside. Habit number 1 is all about learning to reframe your thoughts. Here's a super simple but incredibly effective 3-step process. First, just acknowledge the negative thought. Don't fight it, don't judge it, just notice it's there. Second, question it. Ask yourself, is this thought 100% true without a shadow of a doubt? Almost every time the answer is going to be no. And third, you actively reframe it. So instead of I'm a failure, you switch to something like I'm a human, it's okay to make mistakes, and this is how I learn. This quote just nails it. The stories we repeat to ourselves in our own heads, day in and day out, eventually become our reality. So if we want to change that reality, we have to pick up the pen and write a new, more positive script for ourselves. And a fantastic tool for writing that new script? Affirmations. Now, I know what you might be thinking, but these are powerful. They're simple, positive statements you say about yourself, and this is the important part, they're in the present tense. It's not wishful thinking. It's about actively challenging those old negative beliefs and rewiring your brain for a more positive point of view. Here are some great ones you can start with right now. Saying something like, I am strong and capable, or I accept myself, flaws and all, might feel kind of weird at first. That is totally normal. Repetition is everything. You're literally building a new mental muscle. So just pick 1 or 2 that feel right for you and make it a daily habit. Okay, so changing our thoughts, that's a huge piece of the puzzle, but it's only half the battle. We also have to change our actions. So habit number 2 is all about practicing mindful actions that prove our worth to ourselves through our actual behavior. A massive, massive trap for our self-esteem is comparison. We spend so much time scrolling through other people's perfectly curated highlight reels, and it just makes us feel inadequate. So instead of that, try this. Compare yourself to who you were yesterday. That's it.
This tiny shift in focus puts the spotlight on your journey and lets you actually see and celebrate your own progress. And here are some more powerful actions that actively build up your sense of self-worth. It's about developing a consistent self-care routine because that sends a message to your brain that you're worth caring for. It's about keeping a list of your wins, no matter how small they seem, setting realistic goals so you can actually experience success, making time for things you just flat out enjoy, and you know what? Even helping others. It gives us a huge sense of competence and purpose. Your actions are the evidence you can use to convince your brain. As we start to wrap things up here, it is so important to remember this one thing. Building self-esteem isn't a task you finish. It's not a destination you finally arrive at. It is an ongoing, daily practice of self-acceptance. So here it is, your toolkit for confidence. First, understand that vicious cycle so you know the enemy. Second, practice reframing your thoughts. Go from self-critical to self-compassionate. Third, build those mindful habits that give you real-world proof of your value. And finally, never forget that the ultimate goal here isn't perfection. It's self-acceptance, flaws and all. I want to leave you with one final thought. What if self-worth isn't some lost treasure you have to find or some quality you're just born with? What if it's something you have the power to build with every single thought you reframe and every small mindful action you take, starting today?